There you are. What's going on? I'm just excited about the episode that released today. And I'm gonna show it to you. If I can get this thing to pause. Come on. Come on. Yeah, it's not letting me. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Thursday. It's July 1st, 2021. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. It's so warm. How you doing? How was your Wednesday? I had a productive Wednesday. I was exhausted between all the interviews and everything. Good morning, Francis. All the things that we had going on Tuesday, all the episodes, and going to the gym, and apparently working out harder than I realized I had. It was just too much. It was fried yesterday. Drinking caffeine all day and just trying to make it through. I was gonna go to the movies, but decided I wasn't gonna be able to keep my eyes open. So I didn't. I did some stuff around here, button up a project for a client, and did some other things like that. Had a meeting with a marketing agency that we may bring on, if we can make the numbers work, which is not easy at this point, as I'm sure you can understand. And slowly wrapping my head around the need for a salesperson. We need a salesperson. We have enough content going out, reaching martial artists, that there's no reason we shouldn't be charging people for that access. So if anybody out there is or knows someone who wants to be a part-time salesperson, selling ad space in Martial Journal and on Martial Arts Radio and possibly even this show. I don't know if anybody's going to want to put ads on this show. We don't get a ton of traffic. But the other two, yeah. Let me know. There are lots of different ways that we can do this, and we'd probably be talking commission only. But a really good commission. The magazine, don't Justin and I have run the numbers. The magazine is going to be immensely profitable very quickly. It is the main reason we took our time doing this, was to make sure that what we had was really set up for success. We almost broke even on our first one. It doesn't happen. And here's a secret. See, I tell you guys this stuff on First Cup because we don't have a huge audience here. I'm comfortable sharing these things. If anybody ever wants to practice corporate espionage, if we ever get big and they feel really threatened by what we do, they should be watching this show, because this is where I give out all the secrets. Once we get Martial Journal print under our belt, we're going to start exploring other niche industries to roll that out to. Good morning, Stacy. I'm not even going to speculate on what those are, but there are plenty out there that we could take that same amazing format and run with, and probably get it turned out pretty quickly. And the salesperson could sell those too. Why did you just reboot, Tablet? Just because you're like 9 years old doesn't mean that you get to just die willy-nilly for no reason. Mercury isn't retrograde right now, is it? Because I got a bunch of weird tech stuff going on. Stuff that I'm not enjoying. And those of you that might think I'm being crazy, just like crusty is in my eye. Here, I'll take my eye off screen and talk to you. For those of you that think I'm being crazy when I talk about Mercury retrograde, I had an IT company, and we could track it. More systems would come in broken. We had more server problems. It was verifiable. We could track it. So, yeah. Does that mean I believe in astrology? Not necessarily, but there's something there. I don't know. I don't get it. But I watched it for years. What else happened yesterday? Put up a video of me kicking on TikTok. I gotta get better at TikTok. Because I'm gonna be honest, there are some people out there that that kick pretty well, but there aren't that many. At least on TikTok at this point. I'm not a tricker. I don't do flips and everything, but I can put my foot where it needs to go when it needs to go there. That's my skill. There's a bird. There's a bird spiting me. Anyway, it's Thursday, which means there is a new podcast episode. A new episode of Martial Arts Radio. Wow, I'm gonna sneeze. What is this, amateur hour over here? Come on, Jeremy. I slept well. There's a new episode of Martial Arts Radio. Another episode of How to Fight is out, the second one. Now, I don't know if you checked out the first one. Actually, let's go back. Let's look at the numbers on the first one. And I'll share these with you because these aren't private numbers. We release, this is available publicly. You can go to our videos and look if this app will ever load. There we go. All right. So we released the other one like 5 weeks ago. Where is it? Where is it? Is it 609? No, I wasn't going back far enough. 612, 611, 610. Here we go. So episode 609, How to Fight Jeff Speakman as Jeff Sanders in The Perfect Weapon. Our typical podcast episodes get, I don't know, 20 to 30. Good ones get into the hundreds. But without doing anything special, just putting out this episode, and in fact, 609 had the same graphic style, we got 80 views. So that was enough of a pop for us to say, you know what, there's something here. We enjoyed doing it. It does take more time. It takes time for all of us. It takes time for me. It takes time for Julius. Julius did a phenomenal job with that one. And so we said, let's do it again. So Andrew and I talked. We reached out to Craig. Craig came on, my good friend Craig Wareham. And the premise is the guest gets to pick the movie. And so Craig wanted to do Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze. Well, I didn't ask him to do this, and technically he didn't ask me, but I want you to look at the graphic. It's blurry, but you can see it if you go check it out. Julius did this phenomenal custom Patrick Swayze graphic, and I'm so pumped. Like, he did a great job. There's a reason Julius is our longest standing team member. He's done a great job. I'm really happy. And he did a killer job in the edit. I watched it yesterday afternoon. He finished up the draft, and I sat down and I watched through it, and he edited things in beautifully. You know, one of the things we have to be careful of, because we're using a movie. We're using like an actual movie with rights. We can't just steal the whole thing. We can take bits and pieces and call it fair use. We're not using the audio, which makes it easier for us to get away with that because YouTube's automated thing doesn't flag us because it works on audio. And we use really short clips. Some of them a second, 2 seconds, you know, just trying to show, hey, here's this piece here. And it's hard. It's hard to do that in that way. But this came out really well. It's a lot of fun. And I am hopeful that all of you will check this out. Now, this one came out a little bit longer than we wanted. I think Andrew and I have to dial in the format a little bit. But I had a good time with it. And it's thoughtful. You know, you have to sit down and watch the movie and say, you know, and pick things apart. Where are the flaws in this character? Where are the strengths? How do we work with this? And we've got the next 2 planned. We've got one coming in a couple weeks. We're probably going to do this every 5 weeks or so is what it looks like. And then we've got the 4th one picked. Andrew said, who do you want for the 4th one? And I said, you know, I don't know if she would do it, but I want you to reach out to this past guest because I think it would be a lot of fun. And Andrew reached out and he got back to me and he said, she said yes, And that's what she does every time she watches a movie anyway. So I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I will tell you that based on how her episode went, it's going to be a blast. Now, the person coming on for the third one has some connections to Andrew. He's been on the show as well. And I might feel like a third wheel on that one. I don't know. But just, this is fun. You know what it reminds me of? If you've seen the show on YouTube called Hot Ones, where it's celebrity interviews, but they're eating progressively hotter hot wings. It feels like it has not. I don't want to suggest that what we're doing is as good as that at this point, but it has some of that vibe to me. Because it's fun, it's playful, it's getting people together to talk about a certain subject, and it's something that nobody else is doing. So, I hope you watch it. I hope you enjoy it. And if you have feedback, let me know. All right, let's see what you guys give me to talk about. As always, you give me stuff to talk about in one of two ways. Once the show closes, you leave it in the comment section, or you email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. I love the graphic. I love the graphic. How to fight Patrick Swayze as Dalton in the Roadhouse. I think technically it's in Roadhouse, but that's okay. Because it's such a cool graphic. Where am I going? I'm so distracted by how much I love this. Okay. Oh, and I relocated another chipmunk yesterday. No, I didn't. I mean, hypothetically, maybe I did. I may or may not have trapped 4 chipmunks and 3 woodchucks. There's another woodchuck I gotta grab. But the chipmunks ate the bait. This is the challenge. Here we are. Okay. So it looks like I got some quotes in here, courtesy of Frank, of Michael Phelps, or from Michael Phelps. When he was diagnosed with A.D.H.D, doctors told his mother he would never be able to focus on anything. Despite this fact, Michael Phelps has won more Olympic medals than anyone in history. Yesterday, June 30th, was his 36th birthday. I have a lot of respect for Michael Phelps. What I do not like is when people equate the number of medals someone has won, well, I guess both, to athletic achievement necessarily. He is a phenomenal swimmer. Maybe the best swimmer of all time. That does not make him the best athlete of all time. Because, as a swimmer, he has the opportunity to win a whole lot of medals that are similar. Just like you could make the same claim about gymnastics, or skating, or, I don't know, where else does that happen? You know where it doesn't happen? In basketball, baseball, because you got one. In order to win that medal, you've got to play a whole bunch. In order to win that swimming medal, you've got to swim for a little while. There's the difference. Let me say it again, though, not taking anything away from that achievement. I can barely swim. I'm a functional swimmer. I have nothing more. I once, a few years ago, I swam, what was it, like a mile, 1.2? Furthest I'd ever swim by far. And the only reason I was confident doing it is because there were support boats to make sure I did not drown. It took me a long time. I think that mile was like an hour plus. And I did breaststroke the whole time because I don't like putting my face in the water. And my traps didn't work for 2 days. Anything is possible as long as you want it. You work for it. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. The only person that can really put pressure on you is yourself. We live in this interesting culture right now where we're getting conflicting messaging from society. You can do anything. Just work hard. Work harder than everybody else. Don't give up. There's always more time. And on the other side, have a plan, If it doesn't work out, just pivot, go to something else. Don't throw your effort into a hole. Here's a challenge. How do you know what situation you're facing? You don't. It's only in hindsight. I I think I've applied both. I think I'm utilizing both approaches. We have an overarching goal at whistlekick, and I am all in on that goal of reaching and retaining martial artists in martial arts, getting more people to train, getting people to train longer, getting people to enjoy training, make it part of their lifestyle, who they are, and in doing so, we should catch some of the splash as we grow the industry. But we're not all in on any one pursuit. For example, I've talked often about First Cup and how the numbers on First Cup, in a sense, don't justify the effort that goes into it. But I enjoy it. It helps me develop a skill. And I got to get up out of bed and drink coffee anyway. So what's the difference? If martial arts radio had the numbers that First Cup does, we would have changed something. We would have stopped doing the show, or we'd have looked at how to pivot and do it differently. Because I know where we are, I know where we're trying to go. There are an infinite number of things we can try to connect those dots. If you're in Oakland and you're trying to get to Los Angeles, you've only got a few options that make sense. If you're in Jacksonville and you're trying to get to Los Angeles, you got a lot of roads you could take. She just scared the bird away. She's very proud of herself. But in that second example, how do you know which road to take? You don't. Maybe you do some research, you trust your gut, what's along the way, and you pick one. But if you get going along that road and things are bumpy, you can always try another road. And if that road is worse, you can always come back. It's constant experimentation. And we can say the same thing about our martial arts training. If you're doing everything the way you've always done it, you're not getting better. You're getting consistent, and there's a time and a place for that. But if you're trying to improve, if you're trying to develop new skills, if you're trying to refine skills, you've got to do things differently. Speed, power, flexibility, all these things are adaptations. The body adapts to new stimulus. What's new? Doing things differently, doing it more, doing it less, doing it different, right? All of these things are potentially effective. I've had extreme ups and downs. The biggest thing I learned after I broke my wrist is to never give up. Nothing in life will ever come easy. It depends on how you deal with those obstacles and how you overcome those obstacles. If you can overcome them, you're a stronger person. If you make mistakes along the way, as long as you never make that same mistake again, you're a successful person. Francis says, I admire that very much, that mindset. Yeah. Making mistakes. Again, publicly, in society, we are at an interesting place when it comes to making mistakes, because you've got people who are being very public, very open about the mistakes that they make. And one of the things that when I talked to Stacy and Laura about the content that I wanted to produce for TikTok, it was something that I think Laura was very adamant that people like to see your mistakes on TikTok. They like to see where you mess up. And I'm seeing a lot of that culturally. We're getting better at admitting our failures. I still don't like that word, but our mistakes, our errors. And yet we've got a whole group of people who will jump down your throat the moment anything is not perfect. I think I brought this up earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week. Somebody on TikTok that I follow that we're going to try to get on the show. He has a martial arts school, and he put up some footage of like a 7-year-old boy at testing. And it was sloppy because he was a 7-year-old boy testing for a low belt rank. And an adult man commenting on how terrible the kid was. And I was like, it's a kid. He's like, yeah, but there's no power and no skill, blah, blah. And I was like, it's a kid. It's a young child. Like, there's a line. You got to draw it. Now, what's the solution there? The solution is, at the very least, recognize your own mistakes. Recognize the places that you haven't been successful and learn from that yourself. You don't have to do it publicly. If you mess up, own it. And that's something that I've been working on a lot over the last few years, is when and where to say, hey, you know what? I screwed up. I was incorrect. One of the places that I have been getting better about that is when I make a statement that is incorrect. There's a podcast I listen to, I'm not going to name it, that I really like. And one of the things that drives me most crazy about this podcast, and this is it's not just a top 500 podcast. It's probably a top 50 podcast. It is a massive podcast. It's not Joe Rogan. But there's another podcast, and the hosts have no problem talking about things that they don't know about, and they are wrong constantly. Well, I can't say constantly. They are wrong frequently about subjects I know about. They talk about certain things, sometimes martial arts, and they'll just say, well, blah, 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 and they will butcher what they say. They don't usually come back in a later subsequent episode and say, you know what, we got that wrong. Sorry. There's another podcast I listen to. This is not that as big of a podcast, but still hundreds of thousands of downloads per day. Podcast I really like. I really respect the host. And he's not wrong often, but when he's wrong, he owns it. He's done entire episodes about why he's been wrong. You know what? I messed this up. Here's why I messed this up. Here's the lesson I've learned. Here's information that you may find beneficial. Because he doesn't like being wrong. I don't like being wrong. And when I was younger, it was really hard to be wrong and admit it. Because it hurt. Nobody likes to be wrong. But being wrong is an opportunity to gain new information, to correct things. Don't be afraid of it. I like where these are going today. The more you dream, the more you achieve. Yeah. We have this interesting tendency as people, no matter how we're wired, we're all willing to compromise to a certain degree. There are some people who will always do the bare minimum. There are some people who will always overachieve. There are some people who will always fall just a little bit short. The higher you set the bar, the more successful every one of those personality types will be. I had a conversation with the founder of this marketing agency yesterday. We scheduled a 30-minute call and went for over 90. I like this person. Of any marketing agency that I've talked with, this one is most likely to be the right choice. There's food in your dish and I'm doing a show. You can come sit with me. Would you like to say hi to everyone? No? Sorry. You're going to have to wait then. My life. And one of the things we were talking about was Elon Musk. And whether you like Elon Musk or not. Remember, Elon Musk made a whole bunch of money from PayPal and then tackled 3 of the biggest challenges that he probably could have imagined. I want to make rockets that can go to Mars. I want to take on the automobile industry, and I want to dig tunnels underground so people can move faster from city to city. That's insane. Any one of those is insane. He said, I'll do all three. That's nuts. Big goals. I respect people with big goals. I have big goals. Stacy says, morning, Kitty. That was a definite no. Yeah, she was quite vocal. She's not usually that loud. Once in a while, I do hear her meow what sounds to be a no. It wasn't quite that one. It's shorter, and it more mimics. There's a way that I tell her no. It's no, and sometimes she'll go meow. Like it's almost there. I don't know if she's actually saying no, but it sounds like she might be. Who is it? There's somebody that's got a famous quote. If your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. I subscribe to that. Do you... We get into trouble because we compare goals. My big goal might seem like a small goal to you, or vice versa. That's okay. It doesn't matter. Just like personal development through martial arts. The place that I started, the place I'm trying to go may not have any relevance to where you started and where you're going. So comparing is just silly. This may go sideways today, we'll see. I do follow other martial arts social media accounts, and once in a while we'll engage. And there was a question yesterday from Black Belt Magazine, and on Twitter, the question was, who's your favorite martial arts competitor of all time? And somebody responded, a real martial artist doesn't need to compete, blah, 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 blah. But if I had to answer, I'd say Benny the Jet. So my reply was, so Benny the Jet's not a real martial artist? I'm looking forward to that response. Hey, calm yourself. You know how this goes. Yeah. Is this what having kids is like? For those of you with children, is this what I should expect if I ever have children? I'm going to read one more. I'm going to skip the fourth one in the interest of time. So before I read this final quote, and I'm going to the fifth quote because I'm assuming Frank has ordered them in a particular way. He usually gives us the final quote in a kind of a dramatic fashion. So I will run with that. But before I go, remember, I want you to go check out that episode of How to Fight. And if you typically listen to the podcast, yeah, you can listen. It's going to be entertaining. But we're putting a lot of work into the video side. Between the recording, and I put in probably 2 hours reviewing and grabbing clip timings for Julius, and then all the work that Julius puts in, which dwarfs the rest of it. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. It's fun. And of course, feedback or future movies you want us to tackle or guest suggestions, I want to hear all that. But if you want to support us, remember, Patreon, whistlekickprograms.com. We sold some programs over the weekend, by the way. That was really exciting. Those are still not turning as quickly as I would like them to. And of course, we've got plenty of stuff at whistlekick.com. I'm looking for a salesperson. I'm looking for someone to be in charge of apparel. I'm looking for someone to be in charge of brand ambassadors. I think those are the 3 positions that I really want right now. So if you are one of those people who could handle that, the requirements differ based on the role. Let me know. I'll read this last quote. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, my nose is all tickly. I hate that. I do not enjoy that sensation. So many people along the way, whatever it is you aspire to do, will tell you it cannot be done. Yeah. But it all takes... So many people along the way, whatever it is you aspire to do, will tell you it can't be done. But all it takes is imagination. You dream, you plan, you reach There will be obstacles, there will be doubters, there will be mistakes, but with hard work, with belief, with confidence and trust in yourself and those around you, there are no limits. Remember that today. The only limits are those you impose on yourself. But Jeremy, I can't fly. But what's the actual goal? If the goal is to see the world from a different perspective, from height, you can get in a hot air balloon. You can hang glide. You can wingsuit. Just because you can't defy the laws of physics doesn't mean you can't achieve the end result you're looking for. Don't get bogged down in the specifics. Don't focus on the limitations. Figure out whether you're in Jacksonville or Charlotte or Baltimore, and whether you're trying to get to Los Angeles or Portland. They'll wait for it to, finish melting. Mexico City. Figure out where you are and where you're trying to go. And then look for the path along the way that not only seems to be sensible, but enjoyable. If it's enjoyable, you're more likely to keep going. Hopefully there's some martial arts on that path. I'll see you back here tomorrow bright and early, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, if you want to catch us live or you watch later. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications. We got lots of great stuff for you here at whistlekick. Take care, everyone. I appreciate you. And I'll see you tomorrow for our Friday show. Take care. Peace.